And welcome to Define Yourself with your host, Amanda Sabal. I'm so glad to have you here with me. It's been some time since I've been on here, so thank you for your understanding and patience with me during this time. Oh my gosh, so many things to talk about. I'm excited for today's program, and today is Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. I'm so glad to share with you all during this time of celebration with family. So I know that I might have some new viewers here and is new to this platform. And I know I have some returning subscribers and other viewers that are on here. So thank you for joining. So a little bit about Define Yourself is that it is created for ambitious women that are seeking thought-provoking and stimulating conversation about going to the next level in your career, in life, and personal growth while removing the complexities of what success means for the modern woman. Okay, and if there's any guys on here that's listening on, I welcome you to all this content that is here. It is for everyone to hear. Okay, so welcome. So now that the intro is done, I'm sorry, I'm just getting comfortable here. So as I started, happy Thanksgiving. And while millions of families across the United States are gathering this year around this time right now, around dinner tables, at friends' houses, at family houses, they're in spirit of celebration, being together, creating new memories. However, there are some households, some homes where they may be gathering around a table and celebrating and eating dinner and celebrating Thanksgiving. But sometimes in some households, it's not as cheerful and it's not the most harmonious time of year because it is I'm sorry, my notes are like on this side here, because it is due to extreme circumstances in the household, which is surrounded by chaos and abuse. And today's topic is about domestic violence and holidays and how to navigate, how to survive abuse during the holidays. And I know this conversation might be a lot for a lot of people. And I know you're probably not thinking this is the Thanksgiving message that you want to hear, but I want to share this message because it is very important to hear, because there is an uprise of domestic violence during the holiday season. And it is of paramount that people are aware what's going on around them, because you may never know when you may be needed to help someone out that's in this situation. So I want to get a little bit further into that. So based on a statement by Dr. Daphne Baker, which is the Vice President of Domestic Violence Services for the YWCA, she says they see a lot of domestic violence over the holidays because they usually see the abuser, if he drinks, that there is an increase of abuse of alcohol or maybe even drugs that may lead to the increase of abuse in the household, as well as oftentimes the holidays can be triggering and force people under one roof for longer periods of time, creating friction. Statistics by the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence: on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. And during 1 year, this equates to 10 million men and women that have been abused in 1 year. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence. This includes a range of behaviors such as slapping, shoving, and pushing. 1 in 4 and 1 in 7 men, 1 in 4 women, been victims of severe physical violence, such as beating, burning, strangling by an intimate partner to the point in which they felt they were fearful or believed that someone close to them would be harmed or killed. On a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotline nationwide. And I chose Illinois because I live in this state. In Illinois, in 2018, domestic violence accounted for 20% of all violent crimes. So based on these data and statistics, I know that this is not the Thanksgiving message that you came for, or nor probably the podcast that you want to listen to. But again, I cannot stress enough how important it is to know this information, because you don't know who's in danger in front around you at all. And this information that I'm preparing, or that I have prepared to share with you, is so you could know what to do in these situations. And if you never heard of, you probably heard of domestic violence, but probably don't understand the inner workings of domestic violence. I hope to bring that education to you, so to give you that gravity of understanding of this area that has been going on for years on end. So what I want to do is demystify domestic violence. And some people may think that, oh, well, it's never going to happen to me. It happens to the people over there, right? And when people reference people over there, right there, that means the people that are probably referenced are uneducated, poverty-stricken, don't live in the best areas of the city. I mean, and this applies to any city, nationwide, and even global. That they didn't have a father in the home, or the mom was a drug addict and didn't raise their kids. Let whomever raise their kids, and so on and so forth, right? We have these notions built up, these opinions built up, but it's not based on facts, right? So we say this is what it is, and that is what we believe, but you can be no further from the truth. Actually, it does not matter your upbringing. It doesn't matter if you come from a low-income family, or you were raised in a high-income family, an elite status family. It does not matter about your education. You could have a 5th grade level education. You could have a high school education, or you have a PhD. It does not matter. Or that, oh, you're wealthy, you have a great paying job, your family comes from money, they owned a oil company, or that someone's a cashier at McDonald's and they're only earning minimum wage and doesn't compare to your salary. So you look at your salary as some sort of protection around any harm coming towards you. But let me tell you this, from your education, financially, your socio upbringing, your education background, none of that matters. None of that matters. And let me tell you why. Because I fell into that mindset. Because I didn't know any better. So I just went with status quo, and what status quo would say, it's that it happens to people over there. Actually, it happens to everyone and to anyone. And doesn't matter. And it showed me that doesn't matter about education, your income, what company you work for, who your family is, what you do. None of that are barriers to abuse. You see, I am a domestic violence survivor. And why this is so important to share during this holiday is because I've also been abused during a holiday season. Now it's been 6 years now ago, but I remember it like it's yesterday. And I'll get to that more in that later. So you'd hear stories of this, of domestic violence abuse, when the life of a victim has come to an end. And even though there has probably been so many cries out for help to the law enforcement, to friends and family, and they might do something, but if you're not educated about this area, there's only so much you can do, right, to help the victim out. So 2 stories that happened here in Chicago, one being the Andrea Lopez, age 37, special education teacher, was shot in front of her house 10 times by her abuser. And this happened only 4 weeks ago. Another story is Karina Gonzalez, and her 15-year-old daughter, Daniela, was shot and killed by her husband. And that was in July, earlier this year. And then there's my story. No, I wasn't shot at, but in the household during Thanksgiving, the person I was with at the time, the abuser, he was preparing dinner. So really didn't say much because he was talking. He was preparing dinner, making Thanksgiving dinner. And I was off, I don't know, probably watching TV. And later in the evening, for whatever reason it is, he's decided to come up to me. I believe I was standing in the living room, and then he tended to walk me into a corner and violently and aggressively grabbed my wrist and began to turn them. Not knowing what happened, what is going on, why is he so angry? And I'm asking him, please stop. After a few minutes, he stopped. And for the rest of the evening, he stonewalled me. Stonewall, if you're not familiar with the term, means stonewalling is basically a cold shoulder, but it's enduring. So let's just say if I try to talk to him or ask him a question, he will not answer me. He will not say a word. That is stonewalling. And stonewalling is a tactic used to incite punishment. And as I was trying to think about what happened, why would he do this? What even triggered him to do that? Because like I said, we weren't even speaking to one another because he was busy cooking. And all of a sudden this rage in him built up and he decided to take it out on me. And you may be thinking, well, why didn't I leave? That's a typical question. And I get it, right? That's a knee-jerk question to ask. Like, why didn't you leave? Why would you stay? Well, at that time, as the victim, I was only thinking about survival and praying nothing else will happen that evening. And for the rest of the day and to the next day, I'm praying that things will return to normal. And when I say I'm praying and hoping things will return to normal, is as it was in the beginning of the relationship when it was all great and fun, and he was caring and didn't show, I guess, his true colors, right? I wanted to go back to that. And that is what I prayed for, and what every victim prays for when a situation does happen, when an explosive event like that happens, when they go into rage and anger. The victim is only praying for survival and that the person will calm down immediately and hope nothing else will happen that evening or for that day. It's also very difficult for the victim to articulate their thoughts and their feelings as they have been traumatized over and over during the relationship. And so when you're traumatized over and over again, guess what tends to happen to anyone? You don't know what to do anymore. You just become paralyzed, immobile in thought and in action. Because after being traumatized for so long every day, it just becomes a new reality. And it's hard to see past it. And it's hard to think through it because those faculties that your mind is just on alert all the time. So it doesn't even have room to even think of what to do. It's just praying and hoping that things will go back to normal. But imagine if someone asked you, if you were in this situation, viewer, well, why didn't you leave? If this person is treating you bad, why didn't you leave? Why don't you leave? How would you even take that question? How could you even respond to that question? Being what I just explained, being what goes through the mind of a victim, you would feel that that was hurtful and insensitive, and that you don't care, that you don't know what they're going, that if I asked you, you would feel that I don't care and I don't care about what you're going through. And I'm making it seem like it's very easy for you just to get up and go. Well, it's so not the case. So as I paint this picture for you, I hope you're starting to see why it's important for me to send this message out about domestic violence. Because domestic violence is not easily picked up, it's not easily understood, and it happens in such an insidious way, you don't even see it coming. Oh, but there must be red flags. No, there isn't no red flags. Everybody, right, even in normal, right, dating situations, they show their best selves. The same with abusers. They show their best selves. But you're like, oh, well, how come you didn't leave when the first time they did this or they showed the action of that? Because you think it's just something that's just a one-off. You don't think it's going to happen again. You're like, no, not this part. Oh, okay, that was just a one-time thing. They're sorry. They apologize. He said, or she said, they love me. They made it better, right? They got me the gifts, the dinner, the flowers, apologized a million times. And it doesn't happen. You know, sometimes it doesn't happen for a very long time, maybe a year later, 2 years later, months later, 6 months could go by and nothing will happen. And you think everything is fine until it shows up again. And that whole cycle of baby, I'm sorry, I love you, it just repeats. But the anger and the temperament is worse. And it gets worse each time a blow up happens. And also, think about this. It is hard to leave a person that you love. This is still a relationship. I know you're like, but it's abusive, but there has been love there. There's good times there. And that's hard to leave. And when a person says sorry, what do people usually do? They usually forgive. And that's what makes it so hard to separate the abuse. And when they say they're sorry, right? Versus a normal relationship, it's usually, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. And they tend not to do it again, hopefully not do it again, right? And it just becomes this trauma bond. And it just makes things harder to even navigate through. Because there's emotions there's feelings for this person, although you're getting, there's abuse that's present as well. And it's very hard to navigate that. And it is very hard to talk about and share that part of your life with your friends, even your best friend, because of the shame that comes with it. Imagine for yourself, if you're going through that situation, Could you imagine sharing that story with your best friend or sharing what you're going through with anyone? How difficult that is to be vulnerable, to say that this is happening in your relationship. It could be your boyfriend, it could be your girlfriend, it could be with your husband, it could be with your wife, your partner. How difficult is that to share? Yes, like I say, although the victim has been traumatized repeatedly, it's not like that every day. There are also good times, as I've mentioned. But being from a domestic violent relationship, those good times is just the honeymoon phase of them after they explode, that now they're saying they're sorry, they love you, baby, I'll never do that again. The promises to never do it again. The promises we're going to go counseling, I'm going to get help. That's when you hear that. Because they want to get back in your good graces. They don't want you to leave. And then the cycle starts over again. This term, there's a term for this. And you could also Google it yourself. It's called the cycle of abuse, or it's also called the power and control wheel. And there's a graph. It's the circle graph. And it breaks down what happens in each point. So it goes from tension to violence to honeymoon. And then it repeats itself. It's very easy as you're hearing me explain it. And if you do Google it and see it for yourself, it's easy to read. However, we're talking about people's lives. And that's not always easy to navigate. And it's not easy to understand. And it's hard to be supportive when you don't understand the dynamics of it. Of what happens in these relationships. I know I'm giving a lot out here. I know this is not the Thanksgiving holiday message you want to hear, but it is so important to hear this and to understand what it is, because maybe this situation hasn't happened to you, but you want to prevent it as much as possible, and that's through education. As I said, based on the statistics, it is 1 in 3 women that will experience this in their lifetime. It doesn't matter if it's in the United States. It doesn't matter if you're in Greece, if you're somewhere in Asia. It doesn't matter if you're in the Caribbean. It doesn't matter if you're in Africa. It doesn't matter what continent, what country, what tribe you're from, what caste system, what group or social status you're from. Domestic violence happens to all groups, to all backgrounds, to all races. Doesn't matter, like I said, your money doesn't protect you, your companies don't protect you, your titles at big companies don't protect you. It's education is what I'm pushing for here. And this is the impact I'm looking to deliver upon somebody that is listening to my message, that will take this message and share it with others, and also take it for yourself and to learn. Because I would hate for this situation to happen to you, because this is nothing easy and is very hard to get through. It's very gut-wrenching. And I'll even add this here, and this was even part of my notes. I was also suicidal after I left the situation, because it is so mind-blowing going through a situation like this, that I did not see the other side of this. There was no more life for me to live. I was good as dead. And if it could prevent someone from being hurt or from hurting themselves, please share this information. And please take this information for yourself. As we conclude, family members and friends, I ask of you to be compassionate and to be gracious to victims and survivors. This is not an easy situation to be in, and though you have opinions of it, leaving this type of situation can be very dangerous and can result in death. Victims and survivors, know that are people that love you and want the very best for you. This will not last forever. Trust me, this will not last forever. I believe you're doing your very best every day and to survive, and you will make it. I believe that for you. You are brave and courageous. No matter what anyone says, I know you are brave and courageous, and I believe in you. I'm going to leave some resources here that's available to family and friends and victims. Is a website called thehotline.org. So I will also drop that in the notes below, but it is the hotline, THEHOTLINE.org, O-R-G. And it has many resources. So for the victims, if you're looking for resources such as shelter, legal help, transportation, safety planning, all of the above, basically, whatever you need help in, look this website up. And of course, please take safety. If you feel that your partner goes through your phone or checks your history on things that you research, maybe go do it on a friend's phone. And friends and family, also the same website, thehotline.org. There's information to help you understand abuse, how to support a friend that keeps returning to their abuser, the power and control dynamic, tips for intervening when you witness domestic violence and impacts of abuse, and a lot more information there. Also, as part of the website, they also have a 1-800 number, 1-800-799-SAFE. It is 1-800-799-7233. Also, you could text from your phone, SMART, to the numbers 88788. Text the word SMART, S-M-A-R-T, to 88788. And also, there's a chat line available online as well. I hope that you find this valuable and informational. Please share this podcast with friends and family, especially ones that you know that are in this situation or have gone through it. This information is not shared often, such as the website that I gave out, thehotline.org. I didn't know anything about it until after the fact, after I left my abuser, how helpful it would have been to me to know that information. And this information is not easily found. Victims are typically not thinking about resources. Like I said, they're thinking about survival. And with that said, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a Christmas in a couple weeks. So stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.